Will at the 3, is that,
Yeah.
I mean, you consider this kind of like a small ball look in some ways?
A good challenge for him, but a good opportunity too.
Were you surprised they won technical tossed him?
I don't mind the ejection at all. I kind of liked it, actually. I like the fire. I like the energy.
4 games into the preseason, and Jonathan Kuminga gets ejected from the game less than a second before halftime. How did this happen? Before the shows even started, the NBA refs wanted to make sure you know it's about them. This could be a problem. As good as the Warriors might be, it will be challenging to win an NBA championship against this type of whistle. We'll try to avoid letting this overshadow the developments to this point of the players throughout the preseason, but we'll discuss it in context where it adds value. I do stress that we avoid looking at the end results, which are typically skewed due to the extended run of players that will more than likely not be active during the regular season. However, with the proper context, there are some assertions that can be made. Head coach Steve Kerr decided to try a different look for the Warriors going up against the Blazers for the second time in the preseason. A team which, as I've said before, is great practice for Golden State as they're young, fast, and have a lot of length. The first time they played the Blazers, both Green and Butler were present in the starting lineup, but things were about to change. With Green resting and Butler nursing a swollen ankle that came back with a clean MRI by the way, the Warriors, the starting lineup, featuring Jonathan Kuminga and Will Richard in their place. At first, the lineup might seem small and even silly, but what happened next will shock even the most seasoned fans. Now get ready. You're about to get switched. With just 0.9 seconds left to go in the second quarter, Jonathan Kuminga gets teed up and then ejected from the Warriors vs Trailblazers game. This was rather shocking because there didn't seem to be an obvious build-up. If you had been watching the game, however, what happened made complete sense. Let's break down why this happened. The Blazers are a young, athletic, and high-intensity team.
Given the pressure that Portland's going to put on us, a really athletic team.
When the Warriors went up against them about a week ago, the Warriors were still trying to find their footing. Between the slow ramp-up of the veterans, Curry, Draymond, and Jimmy, and the completely different playstyle of Jonathan Kuminga, not to mention the lower minutes played, the Blazers won the important minutes despite losing the overall game. With the lineups flipped, the results flipped as well. The lineup of Curry, Pods, Richard, JK, and Horford not only kept up with the Blazers, but countered them very well. Despite the one-sided whistle throughout the first half, that 5-man lineup was a problem defensively. Both JK and Richard were high energy, which resonated as we saw really good defensive actions from Steph as well. The game was tied at 16 apiece when all the starters finally sat, with Steph and JK staying on the floor longer than anyone else. It didn't take long for Portland to take advantage of the anemic second string to end the quarter up by 8 points with a final score of 30-22. The lack of playmaking on that second unit was evident as they were completely dependent on Pat Spencer. Now here's where it gets interesting. While the starters all came and went at different times throughout the second quarter, it wasn't until all 5 were back on the floor to close the first half that they were able to completely erase what was up to a 16-point deficit at the 5-minute mark. The Warriors played at a frantic pace, overwhelming the Blazers to cut the lead down to 1. But something else was going on. While JK continued to facilitate at a very high level in his 4th game, he's been slowly adding more of his offensive game into the mix as needed within the flow of the offense. In his 18 minutes, he had 7 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. His rebounding was clearly a priority after not having a single one last game. He also improved on his turnovers with only 2 in last night's game, down from 5 a few nights ago. To top it all off, the Warriors' ball movement was classic high-level read and react with a lot of open looks to shooters, many of which just weren't falling. Alongside Will Richard and Steph Curry, the comeback they staged was every bit as real as any regular season game. JK, however, thought he should have been having a better game offensively, and with good reason. While the refs have been calling ticky-tack fouls on the Warriors the entire night up to that point, the calls weren't really going the other way.
Was left open.
There have been a number of drives where Kuminga kept getting fouled, but got no love from the refs. That last drive prior to the ejection was a basket to tie the game, and had he made it, should have gotten the N1 for the lead to end the first half. The replay shows JK being fouled no less than 3 times. He gets hit and grabbed on the arm from the right, the same thing to a lesser extent on the left, and arguably he could and have played through this type of contact. The real issue, according to Kuminga himself, however, was the trip when he got his ankle clipped from the back. This is the same ankle that had been injured before, and had it been re-injured, it very easily could have been a catastrophic circumstance for not just JK, but for the entire team. What happened off screen is being reported as Jonathan Kuminga approaching the ref and getting in his face. It was the alleged contact that was made which caused him to get a technical and then ejected from the game, however. Come on, JK. You should know better that physical contact is a big no-no. Obviously, the ref agreed with Kuminga that there should be no illegal contact. Interestingly enough, the post-ejection whistle for the Warriors was much improved. Prior to the ejection, the Trailblazers led the number of attempted free throws 21-15. By the end of the game, the Warriors had taken 2 more free throws than the Blazers. Steve Kerr had this to say about JK's ejection.
It was a frustration play. I have no problem with it. I mean, he deserved the foul. He was getting fouled quite a bit. It was a physical game. And the way he ran on that play, the activity that he played with, the rebounding, he had 6 boards, in one half, 17 minutes. I love the way he played. I love the fire, the passion. I don't mind the ejection at all. I kind of liked it, actually. So I thought JK was terrific tonight. I think JK is having an excellent camp, and I'm excited about how he looks.
So big support here to JK from Steve Kerr on his ejection. Overall, JK's reaction to not getting calls ended up being helpful to the team. This points out a clear realization that the officiating needed to be reviewed, something which it seemed was done over the halftime break. But that's only one of the big stories tonight. The other big story is the emergence of Will Richard as a strong candidate for regular rotation minutes. If you've been watching this channel, you know that Will Richard is a player that could contribute to the Warriors significantly this year. Despite being a late second-round pick, he was most definitely a steal. I was a bit shocked Steve Kerr elected to give him a shot to start, but here's what Kerr had to say about putting him in the starting lineup, as well as how he'll use him in the future.
Will at the 3, is that,
Yeah.
I mean, you consider this kind of like a small ball look in some ways?
Yeah, I mean, given Jimmy's absence, Ski's absence, the pressure that Portland's going to put on us, I feel like it's a good night to have Will out there for ball handling, decision making. Good night for him to have to guard different guys and play against a really athletic team. It'll give us a good look at him, and it gives him a chance to play with Steph and BP and Al and JK, and be a good challenge for him, but a good opportunity too.
Seeing him in the starting lineup against other teams' starting lineups is a pretty big deal. This isn't unprecedented, however, as the Warriors have a number of late second-round picks in TJD and Quinton Post that they've used in the starting lineup. When it comes to small guards, GP2, who was undrafted, has been used in the starting lineup in spurts, however he is sparsely effective offensively. This GP2 role specifically sets the precedent for Will Richard. He's GP2 minus some athleticism and plus some shooting and ball handling. What's even more impressive is he played at the 3 despite only being 6'3". Despite him not shooting well in the previous game, I did mention that you shouldn't be surprised if his shooting improves while playing in Golden State, and in his most recent outing, he went 3 for 5 from distance and earned Steve Kerr's praise.
Will really knows how to play. He's in the right spots all the time. He's active defensively. He sees the game well. Knocked down his 3s tonight, and we're really excited about him. He's a very good player. And I know one thing, I won't hesitate to put him out there. I have a lot of confidence in him already.
His overall performance, which included 13 points, 6 rebounds, and 2 assists in 29 minutes, don't tell the full story. He was also a plus 10 in net rating. What he provided on the defensive end in terms of being disruptive, active hands leading to deflections, and making it overall difficult for the Blazers to complete plays contributed to the high-intensity playing on both sides of the floor. Despite his small stature, if he's able to consistently give the Warriors high-level 3-and-D next to Curry on the floor, it'll be tough not to see him play for at least 20 minutes a night. Last night's game showed the type of continuity that the Warriors need to maintain between lineups to mitigate any health issues and keep the vets healthy for the 16-game season. The 2020 bubble Lakers proved what older players can do when given enough rest before going into the playoffs. And if performances from Richard, Kuminga, Pods, and Moody can keep the Warriors in the win column, that makes the Warriors a very dangerous team come post-All-Star break. That is, if the refs allow it. Let me know if you guys think I'm overreacting to the refs here, or is this kind of getting ridiculous at this point? Do you want to see more of this starting lineup that the Dubs used against the Blazers, or is it too small even with Al at the 5? Post your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Till next time, swish.